So, with that,
Let's kick it
Jim,
off.
take it off, take over.
All right, and we have to
Thank you all
say
for coming.
a welcome for those on the live stream. So we have a group of about 30 here today. I think we have a group of about 150 that signed up to register for the live stream. So welcome to everybody on the live stream. Hope you enjoy the session. And if anybody on the live stream also has questions, feel free to chat away. We'll try to address those during the session. But to kick it off, we're talking about what we named this year's forum was Surviving and Thriving in the midst of profound changes in the vacation rental industry. Many of you have already brought those up this afternoon. You're well aware of changes that have been going on in the industry. And we generally focus our forums each year talking about what We Need a Vacation does. But the changes have been so vast and so impactful that we figured, we're going to talk about what these changes are. We're going to talk about these big box companies and what those changes are and how they have impacted the individual homeowner here. They've impacted us as well. We Need a Vacation. We'll get into those. But the best way to describe the change that we've seen in the big box companies, HomeAway, Airbnb, TripAdvisor, FlipKey, is that they've moved from what has been a marketing platform. Their websites have been a marketing platform. They've moved towards a booking platform. What that means is that they get to control the process. They want to control how you book their home, and that means controlling the communication, controlling how the payments work. And you have to play by their rules. Those rules can change really at any moment. They may give you a little bit of a heads up, but it's not with much input, I would say, frankly, from the individual homeowner. You don't have, I've heard from plenty of people, read a lot about how there's a lot of frustration from individual homeowners because you feel like you don't have much say in what works here. So that frustration is building, and we've seen it, I've heard it, and what I'd like to do is go through some of the changes what we've seen. How many people here screen their guests, either by phone or by extensive emails? So I figured, just doing your own research on them. I want to show an example of how the major industry is thinking, and they already are. But there was one company, I thought this was an interesting find in their FAQ. There's a company called Red Awning, a startup that received about $40 million in seed startup money. And this was in their FAQ for an owner, if you're thinking about going with them. They're asking, as a potential owner, can I screen my guests? Can I by telephone specifically? And I think your answer would probably be, I hope so. Well, this was their answer. In today's instant online booking, you have less time to go back and forth. There isn't much back and forth. So essentially they're saying, yes, sorry, there's not going to be a time to pick up the phone and vet a vacationer out or to see if it's a good match. They want you to respond within 24 hours, where response is always a good thing on whatever site. Our site, response is always a good thing, but to demand a specific time that you turn around and commit to a transaction on a vacationer, that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. And then the other thing noted in here is what happens if you don't follow by their rules? What happens if you don't?
They take your listing down.
Of course, you always be delisted if you are egregious in those, and you'll pay for it. Or, as I've already heard, you may not be. They have rules that will be in place. What would you think that a major company, an Expedia-owned company, would want to do with their listings? They would want to promote the listings towards the top that convert the best with online payments. If you're an individual homeowner and don't play by those rules, you might find yourself towards the bottom of the list. Kind of damaging to what your end goal is here to get a booking. So the other things that we've seen is what we've talked about, controlling the conversation. The communication process on these sites is very closed loop, meaning they're all within their site. And we've seen that if you try to communicate back and forth, even through the system via email, and you try to enter in a response and you put in your email address, the email address will be stripped out. The phone number will be stripped out. It's a very controlling process, so you lose a little bit of that control to connect with your guests. The service fees, vacationer fees you've seen since last year, those are still there. They're ever rising, I would say. I don't think they're going to go away on these sites. They're anywhere from 4% all the way up. I've seen 15% on some sites, which is a major increase to what a vacationer needs to spend. And then lastly is the demand for the use of online payments. It's not an optional process. It's a demand for the most part. I guess maybe it's more back on the lines of that you can't renew on HomeAway unless you enable your online payments. And maybe you can get around that. Maybe you don't have to accept a online payment, but then the result of that is likely going to be this listing doesn't convert that well. They don't take bookings, or at least we can't confirm the booking, so you're likely going to be found towards the bottom of the list. So those are I would say, not very user-friendly to the homeowner, to the individual homeowners, or at least in our market here for the Cape and Islands. So I think I'm moving on to just what's been the impact. What have we seen based upon these changes in the industry? And I mentioned that there was 11% increase in the number of listings this year on our site when we compared June of this year to June of last year. It's a huge increase in the number of listings. And what does that mean? That means a whole lot more competition for you for this coming year. There's more listings. You need to find ways to stand out, or set yourself apart. Find a way to do something different that will get you there to stand apart. And then for us, Tyler's going to get into a lot of detail on what we're doing, because we're going to take it on. We need to drive a lot more traffic to your site. We have more listings to satisfy. So that's our job, when we're fully committed to driving the necessary traffic that you need. And also, we know vacationers are savvy. Whatever industry you're in, the consumer is going to shop around. They know how to shop around a little bit, and we do think that they understand now more that there are fees associated with some vacation rental sites. We don't implement those same vacation rental fees on our site. We have seen, even this fall, we saw this September over last September, there was about an 8-9% increase in inquiries. This October, we've seen something up to 40% increase in inquiries this year versus last year in inquiries. And that's a lot. And once you get into October, that's not about October, November inquiries for the most part. Yes, there are some of those, but I'd say 75-80% of the inquiries around this time of year are already looking towards next summer. So those that are not active have their pricing. Hint, hint. So what do we do? How do we stay ahead of the curve, and what do we need to do? And I think the simple answer is just we need to figure out how to evolve as individual homeowners or as a company ourselves. Things will change. Sometimes things will change outside of your control, but you have to stay on top of evolving to put yourself in an opportunity to be successful. So one of the things I wanted to take a look at was kind of what We Need a Vacation has done to evolve through the years. And as Jeff mentioned, we're here in our 20th year anniversary. There is a way, something we pulled up was out of a site called the Wayback Machine. You look back in history to see what is in an internet age and an internet company that we are, of course, we have had to evolve over the years to stay alive with the changes in the industry. You go back, if anybody's been with us for 20 years, you might recognize this site. Probably not. But this was the very first site that we ever came up with. You were on? There we go. All right. We got a first reference site. This was your website. This was the homepage that we started with. We named our site. It was brought to you by the All Seasons Vacation Rental Network. That name has stuck around a little bit, but we've kind of slid it to the side for various reasons. We evolved to this site back in 2006. Added a logo, doesn't look much different from the previous version. Finally here, we got to a recognizable logo that we had for many, many years. We also added Florida to the mix and had a brief stay with Florida for about 7 or 8 years, but during this time, HomeAway came along, and we decided to circle down and wrap ourselves around in a niche community of the Cape Cod and the islands. And so while Florida is here, we rebranded ourselves a little bit more. Florida is now just a mention. We slowly slid them to the side to enable us to focus on the Cape and Islands. This was 2008 or 2010. 2015 you're onto the site that we're used to today. This was our biggest change. 2 years ago, this was our biggest change that we made. and it encompassed a change to our logo. It grabbed the Cape and Islands geographical map into our logo. We rebranded and grabbed ourselves a tag name to get back to the Cape and Islands.
Jim, just make sure you're not.
Up in the mic.
Somebody just called and said that they couldn't hear.
I apologize for the person that called. I will speak into the mic here. All right, I'm stepping away. So anyway, and then lastly, on this major change, you can't tell from here, but this, if you've been onto the website using your mobile phone, our site is now mobile friendly, and this was back in 2015. Had we not made that change, I don't think we would be as successful as we are right now. Google would have penalized us in our rankings had we not been mobile friendly. So we evolved to this stage. Further, things change so rapidly in the industry. We're now going to be making another change to our search this fall, and I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of that. Jeff's going to help drive. So while we do think that the search today is user-friendly, and we hold our search, what we call our power search, as kind of our number one feature that helps set us apart from others, we're going to further make this user-friendly to the average user. I think it's going to, our focus has been to try to drive new traffic to the site. One thing we're just going to demonstrate, if Jeff, you type in an easy autocomplete, type in the few letters for Brewster, we got the town of Brewster, and just do a simple search for, if you click over, you'll use the mouse, 2 bedrooms, and we'll do a quick search. This is on our,
Sorry, I'm just not very good without a mouse.
and there we go. Okay. There's not a whole lot at the end of the day different about this process. You're going to see search results right there. But what the power of this is in, well, again, the power search. Jeff, if you bring up the power search, we get everything here on the left-hand side to enable somebody to quick and easy access to the power search. Dates, price, bedrooms, everything that you've had before, but it's in all one neat little window, not multiple pop-ups, a little more user-friendly. You'd be surprised to see that on a website, just cutting down the number of clicks by 2 or 3 clicks is going to speed up that access and speed up a new user to the site to just have a better user experience. Yes, you have
I was just giving a tenant, or potential tenant, recommendations from my neighbors that rent through We Need a Vacation. Is there any way to just put in the address, or if you had to go all through the East Ham listings?
to find the property.
I didn't know the number.
Just unfortunately, just by the number, if you do go to the East Ham town page and you knew something about that property, there's just we don't list the addresses specifically.
I found them.
Good. Yeah.
Is there a mobile app? Is there an app?
There's not a mobile app. This is
Mobile friendly.
yeah, it's mobile friendly and what you'd do you want to minimize the browser?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so here's
And
the,
close the locations on the left. This right here is the browser. Close the locations.
oh, I did.
You close.
X at the top of that.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna continue moving. You can expand it all the way. Anyways, you're gonna be able to see this in, I'd say, less than probably about a month's time. We're rolling this out this fall, and it's something that we're excited for. We brought on a new developer that has great user interface experience, and so you'll be seeing this in the near future. I think we can go back.
Okay.
One thing I did want to, we'll keep going. The next item, another example of how we've evolved as the industry has, is on guest reviews. And if you've been with the site for a while, you know that about 6 years ago, guest reviews came in to you, as a homeowner, you received the vacation or guest reviews, and you had the ability to add it to your listing or not. And so, of course, if a negative review came, you wouldn't post it to your listing. But even we found people received positive reviews, but even if they had one critique that they didn't like. Somebody said that they recommended you update the mattresses or something like that, but they were glowing about the review. That too wouldn't be posted. That's valuable information for the consumer, for the vacationer. And so we made the change. We made that change as all these sites, Yelp, review sites came along, and Amazon. I mean, everybody lives and dies by those reviews. And so we changed it so that those had to be posted. And they now go through. They're still vetted. They're still reviewed. Every single one is still reviewed by Joan and the rest of the team. But those were posted to the site. And with that, you lost control. You lost control of exactly what went onto your listing. But what you gained was transparency and trust. And we went back to the trust factor of you have to be able to trust our website. Our vacationers have to be able to trust us and trust that those reviews are real. And when they land on your listing, they have to be able to do the same. They have to be able to understand. They read through your description, but they want to hear what other guests have said. And so trust was a huge change in our mind. The last piece that I was going to talk about today, and it's one that we talked about last year quite extensively, was the guest experience and how the millennial age has really been changing some of what guests' expectations were. How, they have certain needs and they just want quick access to everything. And really the time is to stop thinking about that it's the millennial generation that has these certain needs that are different than anybody else. I don't think they're any different. Everybody, all your guests want kind of the top superb accommodations. They want a smooth transaction process, communication process without any problems, any hiccups along the way. They want the communication to be clear and concise and be able to reach out to you, of course. So all those changes are coming, or all those expectations are changing. And one of the things within that process to help with, say, a smooth transaction process that we are looking to implement is online payments. And before I go any further, the way we're thinking of doing online payments is doing it in an optional way. So let me just ask in this room here, if we were to have online payments available, would you provide them to your guests via credit card? Yes. So what we're looking to do is put this in place, a system for online payments so that you can allow it. You could allow it for all, if that's part of your business process, or none, or some, maybe only for the last minute when it comes, so that you don't have to wire bank checks and so forth, back and forth. You need a quick access, you can do that.
Would there be fees associated?
Of course, with credit cards, there's always a fee associated with it. It'd be the standard 3% fee. We actually, and to back this up, we actually had surveyed. We wanted to know, and we're not just doing this because other people in the industry are doing it. We asked our own vacationers that have been, and many of whom have been using us for 10 plus years, would you pay by credit card? And they said, overwhelmingly, yes. There was about 2/3 that said they would pay by credit card. They would even be willing to split some of the fee. And so we asked if there's a 3% general fee. We asked if you'd be willing to pay at least half that fee. Vacationers were. So we're leading towards implementing a system that would kind of split it down the middle with the homeowner. 1.5% for homeowner, 1.5% for a vacationer.
What is the fee if you pay by check? Like if you do an
Electronic check? I'm not sure.
Very low, if any.
Yeah, an e-check option is still.
I've seen other sites where you can default to like only accepting an online check, or you prefer an online check, so then you're not really hit with the 3% unless the vacationer really insists.
Yeah, and we can, and that's the key. The key is just what does your vacationer want is what we think is the key here. If vacationers want to pay by credit card, and there's a group of vacationers that only want to pay by credit card, we have to provide this as an option. Otherwise, we're going to lose a segment of our audience.
I was going to say it's good to provide it as an option, but I find the last couple of years, especially this last summer with my renters and my younger, the millennials, whatever, a lot of them have been Venmoing me the money.
Yeah.
And it's excellent. It's instant and
Mhm.
there's no fees involved for either card.
Yeah. So person-to-person, Venmo and others are certainly an option. And I think people today can use probably been using PayPal for a while, and you can do that. And one of the benefits of having this in the system is enabling the process again to be back to that smooth transaction process where you're not asking the vacationer to jump to different sites. You know, Venmo certainly very easy to use if they have it. But if you could just if we put this process in place, we would have the communication tools necessary for you to draft emails through the system, send an invoice, receive payments, schedule payments later on, so that you're not having to track them down for the second, third
You need it
payments.
for international people,
And
for
you-
non-US, I mean Canadians or Europeans or, I mean, American or interested.
Yeah.
I've used Google Wallet a few times, but I would be leery about credit cards because friends who've had houses in other parts of the country said that you can occasionally get somebody that says to American Express, I'm contesting this charge because, you know, the sheets were blue and they said they were yellow or something like that. Nobody has asked, and if anybody has wanted last minute, they've either done bank checks or Google Wallet has worked fine. I guess I haven't had any. If I had internationals, they had somebody in the States who would write a check for them, so.
Okay. I mean, that's the one concern on credit cards I understand is a dispute process. But the credit card processor is going to look for information to validate the rental. There may be some additional requirements or safeguards that I would recommend that we'll get from the credit card processor company. And I've heard something like just getting a copy of their ID. You know, just simply it's something to prove that they stayed at the home. You know, there's certain rules that you have in place that, you know, I don't think any vacationer is going to be able to just dispute something based upon the fact that I didn't.
Causes a lot of hubbub
Oh, no,
and
no doubt, no
hotbed,
doubt.
and it's like, I'd rather have the check in hand.
I would circle back to if you had a good relationship with that guest up front, good communication up front before they came, were clear on, you know, what the house provided and so forth, you know, you're going to put yourself in a better position to avoid that. Of course, you can't avoid every single scenario. Some are just, you might have had the best tenants coming in and then all of a sudden something went wrong. There are certain things you can't avoid, but, you know, for the most part, I think allowing the homeowners to have full control of the communication up front will alleviate some of that.
You know, online booking is very important. I know that we just working a lot with HomeAway, a lot, and I don't know with very close to that people who rented my houses, and always like I have 24 hours, but sometimes I don't have any hours booking, online booking, and online booking leads to online payment. That's it. And I think it's very worse in WeNeedaVacation websites that we don't have online booking. We don't have it's not good. Last year I remember on my rentals, when I asked them to pay through PayPal, it's not nobody wants right now to send a check.
People send checks.
Yeah, I think there you go. I think it's varied. I think there are groups of people that only want to pay by check, only want to pay by credit card, and some that are okay.
And we're booked
Yeah.
already this summer, but 1 week. For the whole summer.
Jim, can you
Okay.
tell on the price range where if it's a certain price, like below $3,000 a week, people tend to use, they're good with paying with a credit card, or is there a break point where it's over $4,000, you'd rather pay by check?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say I don't. When we roll something like this out, we're going to be closely looking at that kind of data to see, you know, how many homeowners are opting into it at what in different locations and price points, and then especially what's the vacationer response to, and we would ask that question to a vacationer when they send an inquiry. Do you prefer to pay by which method? So that at least you have some insight when you get an inquiry of what they're looking for.
I would like to see online payments with a credit card. However, I prefer to get checks and cash them. So if we just said to them, it's a fee for 3%. If you would like to pay online, you can. Just put the fee on them. And then if they want, usually if they didn't care, they'd send you a check because it's cheaper.
I think if you said that there was a fee associated with it and gave them the choice.
Because I do that with my foreigners, with Only because they're from, it's impossible to get a check from another country and be able to cash it. So
Right.
I feel I need that
Yeah.
too.
Oh, I
But the
think
United States rent is, just make them pay the 3%.
I'm not sure if that's. I mean, there's still a. What do you think?
Probably ways around it.
Yeah, there's some legal ramifications of saying they have to pay. They can't legally pay the credit card fee, but there may be certain methods that you can do.
It's a 3% service charge.
Yeah.
I know that there's, I don't know, not to do with rentals, but like an activity that my kids do. And you do it online and you can either pay by check or you pay by credit card. And when you pay by credit card, it pops up. If you're paying by credit card, there is a fee associated with it. But if you pay by check, there's no fee. So you choose which one you want to do. I don't know.
Right, it's pretty clear.
All the school stuff.
Paying
Through the school
taxes,
system, so
paying taxes online,
I
paying
think
Right.
for school
I think
lunches,
it'd be interesting to look into.
all
Yeah,
the state
yeah.
websites.
I think the point here is that you would have the choice, and it's up to you and your tenant. If you have repeat tenants, for instance, and you trust them, they come back every year and they request, they say, can I pay by credit card? And you either split the fee or they're willing to pay the whole fee somehow, then it's up to you. But we would be giving you the choice, and so it really would be up to you
So-
and the vacation.
Yeah, Steve.
I wonder what influence having travel points collected is, because you're talking about $2,500 to $10,000 to $20,000, depending on what property and how long. But and if you had two properties, would they say, "Oh, I'll get some points if I rent this property because I can use my credit card"?
That's a big factor. People get points or they get even cash back, and so cash back potentially covers the percentage of the fee. So time's going to tell, and that's we're not looking to make this demand that you use this as a process, but I think time will tell to see where the vacationers are lying on this, and do they book more homes that say they offer credit cards or not.
Follow-up to that would be, what might make things easier if the homeowner has the right in registering with the site to say, we accept credit cards, and then to automatically roll in the extra charge when it comes up. So if you're splitting the fee to be 1.5%, if you want more, you could specify what your credit card fee would be. And that way, you don't have that, it's more hassle-free.
Right.
We need to wrap this section up, but let me just add that our goals here as a business are to try to provide something that we feel there's. I'm sorry. Bad me. I'm sorry about there. I forgot about the microphone. Our goal here is to provide something that we feel a growing demand for people with credit cards. I mean, you're saying everybody does, you're saying nobody does. We're in a state of transition. The whole industry is in a state of transition. So we have to kind of change with the times. That's the theme of this whole conversation, right? So we're trying to find the fairest, most sensible way to do it. That's why splitting the fee seems fair, right, as a starting point to discuss. Why we want to make it optional. The other thing I want to add is we thought, gee, how can we make money on this? Can we charge an extra little 0.5% in there and get it from somebody? Yeah, we could. We can charge all we want, and you can like it or lump it. But we're not going to charge any because we just don't think we want to have that marketing message, frankly. We want to be kind of the anti the other guys. And we're not going to go money grub. We want to provide a function that's helpful, that's needed, that's demanded, and that's as fair and well thought out as we possibly can. So we really appreciate your input on this, and we'll probably stay tuned. But it's a work in progress, but that's kind of the big picture. Thanks for listening.
All right, I'm going to wrap up, but I think Jeff just hit on the fact that we do value your input on this. We don't make changes to our site and to our business process without hearing from you, whether it's hearing from you every day in the office here when you call in to talk to the staff, or these forums where we get to talk to you face-to-face are invaluable. So we're going to continue to make changes to our site, continue to hear what your challenges are, what your issues are. Things have changed here in the industry. Expectations have changed. We're going to continue to guide you through those changes. If you're following along, I do recommend follow along in some source of our newsletters, blog, podcasts, any of the or all the above. And so hopefully as we turn to the next couple presenters you hear a couple things that will be impactful for you that you can take on and make a change for this upcoming year, and bring it full circle and find a way to make it less about surviving in this industry and more about thriving. So, Tyler?
And, I apologize ahead of time. I've got a little bit of a cold, so anybody listening to me, if I've got kind of that, Barry White voice going. I mean, it's cool, but I apologize ahead of time. So that's what I want to do is what we're going to do right now is really talk about marketing, what we're really doing as a whole. As Jim had mentioned, 11% increase in the number of homeowners. That means I've got to try to generate at least 11% more vacationers on the site. We want to even kind of blow that out of the water just to meet the needs of everybody, meet the demand. So what's interesting, what we really want to do right now is kind of pull the curtains back a little bit so you can see what we're looking at, some of the data, how people are coming to our site, what they're using, and starting with this in particular. So we rolled this out about 3 years ago, really, and it was my first forum. And it was funny. I had started October 3rd, basically 3 years ago. And the first forum for me was about a week after the fact. And they were demoing this and showing this is responsive. This is what we're going. And someone actually, this is 3 years ago, someone in Brewster had said, responsive for phones? Do you think people are really going to come to your website by mobile? Yeah, they are. Because right now, mobile has officially taken over for our site in particular. So it's just one way to think about it. You mentioned app. Kind of the rule of thumb to build an app, which apps aren't cheap. I mean, apps are a lot of money to make them work and make them work well. But kind of the rule of thumb with an app that everybody always kind of asks in the marketing world and the development world is, will someone open it up weekly? For us on the Cape and the Islands, it's tough. Homeowners might. Vacationers, they might for a certain period of time, but then they typically stop. Whereas if you think of Airbnb, who has an app that does really well, their app is more for the folks that open it up on a regular basis, that are traveling to San Francisco for business, that are traveling for to DC or something like that. Well, there are people, don't get me wrong, there's tons of people that do in fact use it just for that kind of one-off vacation in the summertime. It's not as, the return really isn't there for us to be able to spend that amount of money for it to really benefit us. So that's just one thing, kind of school of thought. So going back to mobile versus desktop, for us, it's always been, desktop is here, mobile's kind of been climbing slowly but surely. This year, from basically the start, January 1st to really the start of October, it overthrew it entirely. So about 60% of our traffic is actually someone on their phone. That's what you think was like, which makes sense because like I heard millennial, I'm one of them. Go ahead, throw your shots at me all you want. But,
he's a good guy.
But really the millennials are in fact kind of the driving force, but they're not the only ones that are using it. I mean, by show of hands, how many of you in here use your phones to go to a website of any type, for that matter? I mean, I know my dad, who is completely computer illiterate, if he can find something on the internet and send it to me in the middle of the workday, say, did you read this? And text it to me, anybody can do it. Everybody's doing it. It's the way I put it. So what I want to do now is, we mentioned the different devices. These are now how people are actually getting to our site, just the different methods. So obviously, number one for us is search. That is by far and large the most important way people are getting to our site, and it's actually generating the best traffic too. In other words, when people are searching, their frame of mind is actively looking for something. So if they're looking for Cape Cod vacation rentals or Cape Cod vacation rentals near me, I mean, the whole near me term is actually one of the fastest growing terms out there. So we pay really close attention to a lot of the different keywords. We rank actually very high on we have a set specific amount of keywords that we say, okay, we need to make sure we're ranking for, especially Cape Cod vacation rentals. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into the Google ranking thing. Over the course of time, it's changed. And I can go back actually a few slides, and I will show you this one. This is a great slide to show you because back in 1999, when they started, if you look right here, that says All Seasons Vacation Rental Network. Does anybody have an idea why we might have been called All Season Vacation Rental Network? The reason is because in 1999, Google did it alphabetically. So WeNeedaVacation.com got kicked in the teeth by doing that. So we had to start with All Seasons Vacation Rental. Obviously, things have changed since then. There's a lot of different ranking factors, whether it's keywords on your site, whether it's how much video is on there, how active you are on social, what things get shared on social. And we're going to talk about that in a minute because there are so many different factors that we have to always continuously stay up on that we're really trying to do so. So just frame of mind, search is still our big thing that we need to be focusing on the most because it drives the most and the best traffic to our site. So that's one of the things we're really continuously paying attention to. Now, this right here, this is someone typing in www.WeNeedaVacation.com. That's direct traffic. That's our number 2 source of traffic to our site. The reason that's important and why we pay attention to this is because the people that do that love us. They know us by name. They know we're looking for a vacation rental. So when I mentioned, search traffic is great, direct traffic's even better because it's usually either a homeowner that you guys are logging into your account of some sort, or you probably have it bookmarked to the back end. But vacationers that we pay attention to that know us, come back year after year. And it's funny, Jim and I on a day-to-day basis, even right now in the fall, yes, the inquiries are up about 40%, but they're obviously nowhere in comparison to what they are in, June or even January 1st when people start going crazy. But we look at the inquiries and we read, interesting stories about, I'm coming up for the Cape Cod Baseball League. My kid's playing, I want to rent a week, or I've been doing this for 30 years. I love it. So these are the people that love us, that know us by name. WeNeedaVacation.com. They found us somewhere else or they know us and love us. So that's one of the things we really pay close attention to. The third piece is social. There's no denying it that social is a massive part of our kind of marketing plan going forward. And how this affects, why it's so important, isn't just traffic directly from social. People are on Facebook looking at, random pictures of someone's breakfast, what they ate, someone's political views, Russian stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But all the other things that are going along with Facebook, but they are in fact also then going to, okay, yep, we want to go to We Need a Vacation. We saw something interesting. So it's incredibly important for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter not as much, but especially Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram now as well, that for us to get in front of people for the awareness point of view, as well as for the kind of the direct traffic, but also the key that it plays in search. Really the number one factor in the way searched, Google, Bing, Yahoo, the way their algorithm works now is, all right, how many people are talking about this website? How many people have good things to say about it, about these specific key terms? Are they saying, hey, check out this vacation rental on WeNeedaVacation.com? Are people talking about it socially? So social is actually has a direct correlation to search, believe it or not. So a lot of folks say, what does social? I don't care about this. They go hand in hand. They're not separate anymore. They work together. One of the big things this past year we've spent an awful lot of money on, and we're going to continue to do so even more, are the social ads. Now, Jim and I, same thing. We're just looking at kind of the evolution of the Google ads. And you remember, really 5 years ago, the Google ad on Google, or if you're on Bing and you see something come up, it was, I know this is an ad, and it's kind of a brown box. It says ad in it, Now, they've basically stripped everything out, and it's just, the word ad right next to the WeNeedaVacation.com link in the exact same color. Now, one of the things, kind of the latest reports that really just came out last week, were people saying that more and more people are actually clicking on ads specifically because of mobile. So when you think about it, when you're looking for something very quickly, vacation rentals, you're looking for hot dogs, you're looking for Celtics tickets, I don't care, whatever you're looking for. You're looking for a new cup, whatever you happen to be looking for at that moment in time, you're actually more apt to bring it up and see it on your phone right there, and you're probably going to the whole below the fold thing on desktop. Well, below the fold on mobile is actually scrolling like 10 times. So you're more likely to click on an ad on mobile than you are on desktop. It's so kind of crazy the way things have come full circle. Where before there were ads, people knew there were ads. We said, I'm not clicking on an ad. Now we're saying, I don't care. I need to move fast. I'm clicking on an ad because it's all about immediacy. So these are all the things that we're kind of keeping up with. So you guys know. Also on the kind of paid part of it, a big part of our marketing going forward is the retargeting portion, which I didn't really get to, which we'll dive into that element. So remember the word retargeting because it's a huge key component of our marketing going forward. So I'll explain that in a minute. The last piece that's kind of the biggie for traffic drivers to our site is referral traffic. So referral traffic is not necessarily like you going out and saying, hey, go to my friend's site, WeNeedaVacation.com. Referral traffic is if we're on Boston.com or if we're on the chamber sites and they link back to us. That's referral traffic. Now, what's great about referral traffic is that it's link building. Link building is another thing that has to do with search. So while referral traffic we look at, it's all right, it's great, it's driving a decent amount of traffic to our site. We also like to say, okay, how many links are on these external sites and how many of these are good links, helping us with search, because that's another huge part. So basically everything that we just kind of looked at relates to search, number one, which is the most important. So we have to kind of pay attention to all of them, really. So really...
Excuse me, just to be sure that we're not, does everybody understand when he says relate to search means push us up in the rankings of Google search? Just want to make sure that's
So
clear.
you're gonna be doing these ads, because I mean, I did some searches on no fee and, Cape Cod no fee and stuff like that, and I didn't see any ad things, but the ads are always up top.
Yeah,
Great.
we definitely will be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We've done ads in the past for specific key terms, and some that work, some that don't. Jeff and I literally go sit in that room right there, and we say, okay, what's working right now, what's not? And to really right now, we kind of pull back the spend because the amount of people that are actually looking are slow, so our return really isn't there. So we start kind of bolster our spend really to start the year and start the year really strong. Yes?
Is there any way, and I just checked on the phone, the ads come up and on the phone block
Yep,
the screen.
it's crazy.
And there was one which came with 3 ads, only 2 ads showed. We Need a Vacation was pushed down below the fold.
Absolutely.
And though you're the first free listing, the paid ads, you don't have priority within the paid ads. Is there a way to bump yourself up higher?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, so the question for the folks on the live stream was, how can we bump ourselves into the paid ads? So organic, anytime you hear someone say organic ads, that's just regular standard search. So not a paid ad, anything but a paid ad essentially. So how do we get up there? It's pay more, have a better click-through rate. The way Google kind of looks at it specifically, I'm sure that's, or you used Safari, the way they look at it is saying, okay, what's your quality score? So how likely are people to click on your link and go through to the next page? It's a lot of different components. So we actually have a great quality score. It's just really the amount of your bid per keywords. And so really right now, I can't guarantee you're not going to find us because we're not spending much on paid.
And they randomize it. If you do that search 5 minutes from now, you could see a different order. So it's not a fixed order. They're trying to share among the advertisers. So I've been doing this for a long time, and it just drives you nuts trying to get. Oh, we're not even being shown. Oops, we're first. Oops, we're third. I mean, go ask Google, and you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, and one of the big reasons for them to do that is to obviously increase money, right? So, okay, here's 3 right here, right now. Okay, let's shift it and rotate it with another 3. They then just made more money, right? So they really don't care about us; they care about making money. So, totally agree. Yes.
So if we go in every day, everybody goes in every day and clicks on that, will that?
No. So you're costing us money by clicking those ads. But hey, here's an idea though. If you see HomeAway, if you see Airbnb, if you see any of those guys, click away. Just keep clicking, because no, exactly. We got a little budget. They've got a. If you click on them a lot and leave right away, it won't, because that hurts their quality score. So that's kind of how things. Exactly. Quality score, again, takes a lot of factors in how long you spend on the site, how likely they are. So if you click on an ad that brings you to the homepage. Are you likely to go from the homepage to a listing, to booking a listing, booking a home? That's helping the quality. If you just click on the ad, say, haha, and press the back button, you're not helping them, you're helping us. So, yeah, exactly. There's I was going to say, so we've got, 3,500, 4,000 homeowners, depending on the time of year. If everyone just, clicks twice, that'd be awesome. So, really, going back to what we were just talking about there, what do we really need to do? So for our report card, it's the social media, getting that Google credit. In other words, you mentioned what to click on, what can you do to help? We'll talk about that in just a second, but sharing our stuff is huge. Vacationers can do it. That's great. If you guys do it, help spread the word. It's really important, not just because, oh, great, thanks, we love you guys, you're really helping us out, but it also helps with the search piece too. Yes. Exactly, yes. I'll explain that a little bit more in just one second. So kind of what are we doing from an organic point of view? We basically write right now about 9 blog posts a month. We're active, very active on all the different social channels. We've actually hired Jenny, so we're trying to create as much content as humanly possible that reaches a large audience. Sometimes it's very tailored. Sometimes it's a little more broad about a specific area. It's about Brewster versus about Brewster Vacation Rentals. Sometimes it's about, we have our celebrating anniversary. So different restaurant, Snows, celebrating X amount of years, Guapos, and so on and so forth, and continuing to write posts about them, thinking that they'll share the post, get it in front of their audience as well, and kind of expand that top of the funnel. I'll expand the whole kind of marketing funnel in just a second. So what I'll do is right now is just explain, show you a video that we put together that's nothing about vacation rentals, and I'll explain why we did that in just one second. So I'll show you this, and then we'll go.
People will come, Ray. They'll come to the Cape for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn into your driveway, not knowing sure why they're doing it.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children longing for the past.
Of course we don't mind if you look around. You'll say it's only $20 per person.
And they'll pass over the money without even thinking about it.
For it's money they have and peace they lack.
And they'll walk off on the bleachers and sit in short sleeves on a perfect afternoon.
And find they have reserved seats somewhere along the baseline, when they sat when they were children.
And cheer their heroes.
And they'll watch the game, and it will be as if they dipped themselves in magic waters.
The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces.
People will come, Ray.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game,
it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us all that was once good, and that could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
So does anybody know what movie? Field of Dreams, of course. All right. So you kind of ask, okay, great, baseball video. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China, right? Who cares? For us, what our goal is to get in front of as many people as humanly possible, kind of expanding the funnel, and I'll get to that a little bit more. So our traditional, if we were to put out a vacation rental-centric video right now, we get a couple thousand views on Facebook and YouTube combined, which is great. We love that. What we want to do is try to expand it even more and jump on the reach of some other brands like the Cape Cod Baseball League that has a devout following. So kind of frame of reference, that video itself on Facebook and YouTube together, like I said, a vacation rental video might get 1,000, sometimes 2,000 views. That one got, without putting any money behind it, got right around 11,000 views. So it helps expand who's this We Need a Vacation company. If someone watches it, has no idea who we are, I call it kind of the rabbit hole of the internet. It's just someone watches it, especially on their phone, because that's where they're typically watching it on Facebook. They kind of go down the rabbit hole of the internet. And the reach on it for us was right around 45,000 people. So it got in front of We Need a Vacation because someone's sharing, and I think it was shared like 32 times, had 100 or something comments. So it's getting in front of other people's audiences by the shares and things of that nature. So, and I apologize for anybody watching on the live stream that obviously weren't able to hear that, but we will have that on demand. So sorry about that. My bad. But with that in mind, that's kind of what we're doing, trying to expand the top a little bit more. But we are, not to say that we're not creating content about vacation rentals, because we definitely are, and there's an awful lot of that. So, one of them in particular was the Dream Vacation contest. We ran to start that at the beginning of the year. We've done it 3 times now, and I don't know exactly the amount of vacationers it brought in, but new vacationers, kind of ballpark it at 40,000 plus vacationers that we got their email addresses. So we are now sending content back out to them via emails, via social campaigns, trying to get back in front of them again and again and again. Going to the kind of funnel approach. So your top is awareness, right? Brand awareness. Who the heck is this WeNeedaVacation.com company? We're very well known on the Cape and Islands. We're very well known just off Cape, but you start to go further and further away, our footprint isn't really there as strong. So we're really trying, especially now, we're always trying to, but this year more than others, we're really going to try to expand our footprint so people, vacationers specifically, know who we are. So try to say, okay, who's this WeNeedaVacation.com company? And then kind of more targeted content based on who they are, what they're looking for. So some of the things we're doing and have done. Bringing in Jenny. So we brought in another kind of social media rock star. She's local to the Cape, kind of born and raised in the Orleans, Brewster area. She lives in Brewster now, so she's going to be kind of our boots on the ground, even more so to help create local great content, all the things that are going on. Things like the baseball blog video, the anniversary blog post, those are really to more awareness, get the word out from an organic point of view. The media buys, obviously we're outreach to press and outreach to kind of local media partners. And right now we're actually looking to a radio campaign outside of the Cape. So I'm looking at kind of the NPR stations. So it's not solidified just yet, but that's what we're kind of looking to do for another kind of big spend for us in this coming year. The middle of the funnel. So we talk about the middle, meaning when people are on our site, how do they interact with our site? So Jim showed the search. We want to get them from point A to point B as quickly as possible. So we're refining the search, really kind of tailoring that. So obviously one of the spends was on another person that's kind of a user experience developer that can really help with that. And then lastly, the bottom of the marketing funnel is that personalization and retargeting. So personalization, if you get an email from us, I don't want it to be just say, get back to the Cape and Islands. That's great. I want you thinking about that. But I want to send you things that are specific to you, what you've looked for. So we're sending out emails that if you looked for a 2-bedroom home in Brewster, we're going to send you 2-bedroom homes in Brewster. It might not be the exact one every time that you looked at, but we're going to keep sending you 2-bedroom homes in Brewster every single time until I know that you booked a home. So we have a lot of different rules in place to do that. Now, obviously, we have folks that haven't been on our site in quite a while that maybe they one time visited the Cape in the fall. We're going to send them the start of the fall, or really a couple weeks before that, really mid-August, saying, hey, remember that time you went to the fall? Wouldn't you love to get back there? So really trying to tailor that message on our emails and on the website itself. The retargeting piece is you go on Amazon, right? And you look at something, and then you happen to go on another site, or you go on Facebook and you say, that handbag I just looked at is now front and center. Those tennis shoes I just looked at is now front and center. That's what we're doing. So we spent a decent amount of money on kind of the Google portion and with Bing, but Google specifically because their ad network is so vast. So in other words, we actually had someone give us a call or sent an email and said, thank you so much for picking my home to be put as your advertisement on the New York Times. Thank you so much. You picked my home. I didn't have the heart to tell him that I didn't pick anything. Google picked it. It's because he visited it. Exactly. Because he visited exactly. So it's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So if you ever see that, it's because you went there. Same thing with Facebook. So Google had a decent return on investment for us. Facebook had a great return. So in other words, someone came on the site, they looked for a home, 2-bedroom and Brewster, for just to continue to use that. They then went on Facebook and said, okay, wow, there's that home again. And then there's 3 other homes that are just like it, and continue to get homes in front of them. We did that for about 30 days after the fact. And really one of the things we've seen is creating digital touch points is our big thing. So from awareness out there, about just generic We Need a Vacation, about the Cape and Islands, fun things to do, to more tailored, blog posts that are, here's a list of home, I'll use the Oyster Fest as an example. Isn't it so fun to go to Oyster Fest? Here's that blog post about Oyster Fest. Then we find the people that are interested in Oyster Fest because they've clicked on it, they've liked, they've read. The next piece we then send them is, hey, look, here's 10 homes that are right near Oyster Fest. And you could continue to search more, right? And then that third piece is now saying, hey, we know you clicked on these 2 homes. Here are those 2 homes again. So trying to get in front of them and be repetitive. It's kind of the old school sales approach where dialing for dollars, right? It was one of my first gigs out of school. It was just so stupid. You pick up the phone and say, hi, yes, could I tell you about this webinar platform? It's phenomenal. And they'd say, click. Hey, I called you yesterday. I didn't really get a chance to talk to you too much. Could I tell you about this webinar? No. Third time, hey, why do you keep calling me? Well, let me tell you about this webinar platform. Like, okay, all right, you got me. I'm eating lunch. Then you just keep going, and then eventually, hopefully, you just drive them into the ground, which is what we're trying to do from a digital standpoint. Yes, you had a question out back. Sorry.
Do you know your success rate on click-throughs from Facebook? Is it highly successful, like when people click through?
Retargeting in particular is great. Retarget because it's personalized to what they want. It totally depends. It's kind of a loaded question because it depends on what we're putting out. If we're putting out something generic, the click-throughs are okay. If we're putting out something, basically the more tailored we get, the better off we are. So, and our goals aren't always the same. If we put out a baseball video, I'm not trying to get click-throughs. All I care about is the reach. I care about the awareness, right? It's the same reason someone buys an ad on at the Super Bowl. They spend $5 million for 15 seconds, right? No one's going to say, oh, I saw that ad. I need to go to E-Trade right now because that baby's just so darn cute, right? But it's just the awareness thing. So for us, we're trying to get that awareness continuing up and then we measure literally everything. So to a fault sometimes. But so what can you do to kind of help us spread the word really? So some of the messages on a very basic form are, we cost less. We're very local. When I say we cost less, it's because if you go through a lot of the HomeAways or the Airbnbs, it's because of those booking fees. We don't have those. So, you mentioned having that in kind of our marketing message. Absolutely. That's part going forward.
That should be on your first page, fee.
Yep, it is.
Oh, I didn't see it up there.
Not on my screenshot.
That's just a screenshot from, but it's the bottom yellow bar right on the homepage. You can, when I say bottom, I mean it's above the fold. It's right, if you go to scroll, it's right there every single time. We're good at this. We're trustworthy. I mean, the big thing with the internet, with all of the hacks and all of those crazy things going on, trust is so incredibly important when it comes to especially spending money with someone. I don't know you. I'm going to send you a check. I'm going to PayPal you. I'm going to Venmo you. I'm that millennial that Venmos all the time. So other things to help. Share our content. If you're like us on Facebook, if you follow us on Instagram, like, comment, share, and get engaged with it. Have fun with it. We love to go back and forth with homeowners and vacationers of, Breakwater Beach is great, but you got to go to Mayflower. You have fun with it. Engage in the conversation because that you sharing, especially if it's a blog post or something like that, that is really going to help us. Links back to our site are really going to help us more than anything. So sharing that helps. Folks that we've heard from some people that were on another site, Evil Empire, they left, they came to us, they said, okay, how do I get those people? Reach out to them. Let them know about We Need a Vacation and say, you've been booking through HomeAway.com, you've been going through the kind of book now thing that drives me nuts. Why don't you come over here and kind of go through this site? So that's just one of the small things you can also do to help. You could also, I'll talk about that in a minute, but we actually found someone created their own business cards with their listing. He said it worked great, especially because he was walking along the beach and handing them out on the beach. No, I swear to God, that's what he said. He said, it worked great. I had people say, oh, this is great. You must be real close and connected to the beach. He said it worked. It's just one of the small things you could do. And of course, hire Skyrider. That will definitely give us. And no lie, the best part about saying this, we obviously put this in as a complete joke, but we had someone at the end of the forum the other day, last week on Saturday, came up to me and said, hey Tyler, I've got a drone. We can get some cans of smoke and I might be able to actually do this. I was like, oh gosh. Yeah, you can see We Need a Vacation, cursive spelled out like, oh, great. That's how we're going to make the news, is the drone crashing now. So that's really it for now. Afterwards, if you have time, just so you know, one of the things we're putting together or kind of plotting out from a marketing perspective is the idea of a show, kind of a TV show online. So we shot a pilot, and what our goal is to show homes, the Cape, everything all in once, kind of in a fun way of doing things, in a different way of us just saying, hey, look at this home. We're kind of taking it another step further, kind of HGTV Chronicle. We said, I kind of pitched it to Jeff, said we're going to create our own Chronicle. So that's really kind of what we're trying to do. And if you want to stick around, I'll show it right afterwards too. But it's about 6 minutes long, so I don't want to bore you, everybody. And then we'll put it on static in the middle of it. So I don't want to do that to you. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Joan, right? Lauren is going to jump up next, and I'll adjust the microphone.
Put it up higher so I don't lean over. Stick it in my face. Okay, thanks. So, what can I do to compete better? Two of the top questions on homeowners' minds right now, and I know you're all thinking the number one question is that lodging tax, and we're going to get to that, so don't worry. But the two top questions that we get all the time and that came in for this forum were, how can I increase my bookings in both in and off season, and how can I do, what can I do to make my listings stand above my competition? So we continue to advise increasing the quality and quantity of your pictures and soliciting as many vacationer-entered guest reviews as possible. Vacationers rely on those guest reviews. Some won't even inquire about a listing if it doesn't have any today. If you see something that says, now I understand what a fully stocked kitchen is, as a vacationer, that's going to mean a lot more to you than that homeowner writing a tremendous amount. Or it's a wonderful place, clean, well-maintained, great location, just more than we ever expected. So make sure those reviews are coming in constantly. And these strategies, they're vital to your success. But by themselves, they're not enough anymore. And I'm sure some of you have found that, and you're constantly looking for other ways to market your homes. And increased competition today requires homeowners to take advantage of as many marketing opportunities as possible to promote their home. That's why, in addition to the advice that we give all the time, we continue to provide an array of homeowner consultation or consulting services. And I know that many of you have used some of our services. By a raise of hand, our photo or video service people have used. And how did that work for you? Very well?
In fact, I had her come back this year because we changed the bedding configuration.
Uh-huh.
It was really accurate. Great pictures.
And that is a key thing. And many of you that used Becky a while ago continue to have her come back over time to keep things fresh and up to date. We have on-site consultation services. We have competitive analysis, and we have social media support if you need help with doing some of these things that you may not feel as comfortable with. And you'll find more information on that in your packets. We also have a tool that we use called the Listing Quality Audit, and we urge you to utilize the Listing Quality Audit. It has the quality of your listing plus the pricing as well. And our homeowner support staff, we all use this extensively. We use this tool all the time when we're reviewing your listing.
or before applying your renewal payment. We don't just get those payments in and just, cash them in, that's it, it's done. We look at every single listing, and some of you may have gotten a listing quality audit in return that also has some personal comments that are very specific to what you could do to improve your listing. The audit calculates quantifiable criteria on your listing, and it identifies missing information on your calendar. Homeowners find the audit incredibly helpful, as it also explains any issue it uncovers and how you can do or what you can do to improve the issue. You can find the listing quality audit link right on your Homeowner Center page under the More Information section. What the audit can't do is the audit can't assess quality or content. It can only assess those quantifiable factors. So what you need to make sure you do is you need to make the time to review your photos and the general content of your listing to be sure that everything is the best it can be. So your pictures should be large, of excellent digital quality, bright and inviting, and showcase the entire interior of your home, its immediate setting, views, closest beach, and even nearby attractions. When you or a vacationer clicks on your pictures, whether it's in your slideshow or in your photo gallery, the capability of the software can pop the picture up to nearly full screen size. The attraction to seeing those pictures, large, beautiful, well staged, that's what you're trying to do. It's a visual world. That vacationer is looking through your pictures in 2 seconds. So you better be showing them large, excellent pictures that are bright and inviting and show everything that you can show about your home. In this group, there are 48% of you that still have at least one small picture, if not more. So make sure to go to your Picture Central page. You can click on Picture Central link, and it will tell you whether the picture's small or not. We've seen a significant change in the number of pictures vacationers expect or actually demand to see. In fact, when We Need a Vacation started 20 years ago, we started by giving everybody 2 photos. And then over the years, it jumped up to 4, and then it was 8, and now it's 10 with all of your renewals. A first-time lister gets 14, and then 10 on renewal. The reason we do this, it doesn't matter how little your home is, even a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom or a large home, you can still show many, many shots of what that listing has to offer. And not just inside, including every bedroom, the bathrooms. Years ago, no one needed to see a bathroom. Now, a bathroom represents cleanliness. It's one of the 2 most important things that vacationers are looking for. Don't get caught showing a dining room table with 4 chairs when your home sleeps 10. This is one of the biggest mistakes we see all the time. You're trying to help them envision themselves in your home, so be sure to show everything. Right here on your More Information, there's a link that says your pictures adequately market your home. Go onto that link, check your pictures, check the content of them, and you will also see a chart. You'll see examples of other homes the same size as yours, and you'll see a reason why each and every picture is important to have. Now, we know several of you had said that you had used Becky's photographs. Becky now has taken more than 500 homes, and with very, very proven success. And we have great acknowledgement of that success. Many people, we had someone this summer who had a cottage that she's rented for many, many years. Becky took pictures, and her results this summer have been tremendous. So if anybody needs to get in touch with Becky, I encourage you, if you can't take them yourselves, get in touch with her, and also think about video. In terms of your pictures, your pictures also should represent things that are outside your home, your yard, your view, the neighborhood, the closest town, any things that make your rental different than the next 3-bedroom rental or 5-bedroom rental or 2-bedroom rental nearby. You really want to show your location as well as inside and outside your home. We've had folks that say, what do you mean I need a beach picture? I'm telling you, vacationers are not familiar with every single one of these beaches. That's what they're going there for. As great as your homes are, and I know you all have fabulous homes, they absolutely want to see the nearest beach that they can get to. And like your pictures, does your property description, does it describe everything and depict everything from the setting of your home, what's on inside, the layout, and everything around? Be sure to read the view guidelines right next to the left of your description field, or the ideal listing blog. All of that information is in your packets. If you rent in the shoulder seasons or the off season, you really want to use Picture Central. It's your best friend. How many of you have noticed over the years we've changed Picture Central? It's so much easier now to upload pictures, reorder them. You can keep a surplus, like an entire inventory of extra pictures in there. You can rotate your pictures whenever you want. If you're trying to highlight the off-season, rotate a outdoor scene that's in the off-season, or show one of your pictures that shows 2 glasses of wine by a fire in the fireplace, a wreath on the door, pumpkins, activities, the closest golf course, the bike trail, things that they can enjoy in the off-season. If you want to promote it, the other thing you can do is you can change the title and the first sentence to target specific seasons. Change or reduce your minimum stay in the off-season. And always put up an owner special. They're free. Put up an owner special if you're promoting some kind of deal in the off-season. Make sure to keep them fresh. I was renewing a listing yesterday, actually, and I noticed that the first picture had a date stamp of 2003. Now, that was the quality of this picture as well. I happened to speak to the homeowner, and I spoke to her, and she said, I know, I have to change my pictures. But if you've got date stamps on those pictures, set up new pictures. People don't want to be thinking this is what it is, and then get there and find out that, oh, that was taken, 10 years ago. So really keep that up to date. Also, something that Jim alluded to before, some of you are active, some of you are not active, some of you haven't put your pricing in. Your best bet, in your best interest, is to absolutely list year-round. Get your 2018 pricing in there. People have started to look for next season when they were there on the Cape this season. If they didn't get your home last year and they want it, they want to see it now. They may have written down the property ID, but when they go back to look for it, they can't find it. I can't tell you how many calls we get of people that are panicked when they're going on vacation and they go back to look at the listing and the listing is no longer there. And they call us and they say, we had a picture on, on your site and I can't find the listing and I don't know how to get in touch with the homeowner. And we tell them that we do have subscription plans that are shorter, but it is always in your best interest. I can't even stress it enough. Be up there. And for those of you that don't have your pricing in yet, get it in now. And now you've got your pictures, you've got your description, you've got your listing so shiny, like that apple, polished and ready. Now you're ready for the billboard. Now you're ready to get it out there. Now you're ready to share it, use social media, and we work like a team. Spread the word.
Some of you have been with us for a long, long time. Helene, since 1999, That's when you first started with us. Well, 97 was our first year. And Kathy, since 2001, I think, Pam, 2003, and Roselle, 2003 as well. And we have some new people here. But one thing, as you've seen and heard, many, many things have changed in the industry, but one thing has not changed, and that is that we all try to make our guests feel special. There was a quote from a recent guest review that I want to just read to you. The owners were very easy to contact and responsive to questions. They were clearly interested in our having a nice and comfortable stay. This is not just a Cape rental. It really felt like we were guests in someone's home and we would return in a heartbeat. Isn't that the kind of guest review we all want to have? Those people probably would return to that home again. It's so important for us to treat our tenants, our paying tenants, as guests, really. How many of you welcome your tenants with a gift, leave a gift for them? Quite a few people. Very nice. Yep. Some people leave wine. How many of you leave a welcome letter or a welcome note? Okay. And do you all leave instructions for your tenants? We had one person wrote a guest review, and he said, I wasn't even sure if I was in the right house. I had the directions, I had the way to get in, but when I walked in, there was nothing there. There were no notes, no instructions. It looked like somebody had just up and left their house. That is, when they walk into your home, that is their first impression of it, and it's a lasting impression. You certainly want to, above all else, leave instructions about how to operate the house, where to find certain things, how to get to the beach. There are some people say, well, they didn't even tell us how to get there. We just had to learn on our own. So important to do all of that. And you know, if some people are you find out they're celebrating a significant birthday or an anniversary, you know, and you can tailor your gift to that if you want to. That personalization makes all the difference. Communication, it all starts with that initial phone conversation. I'm sure you all have a phone conversation with prospective tenants. Find out what they're looking for. You want to make sure it's a good fit, not only for them, but for you. Tell them about all the amenities, the wonderful amenities, but also tell them about things that might be a potential drawback for them as vacationers. Maybe you have a spiral staircase or a steep staircase. Maybe you have maybe you're on a busy street and they have little kids. You don't want them to come and be surprised, but and don't tell them just about what you do have. Also tell them about what you don't have. Most people based their decisions, most vacationers, on their past experience. And if, for instance, they've always vacationed on the Jersey Shore or the Carolinas, they're going to assume that all homes on the Cape have central air conditioning, which of course they don't. But it's important to tell them that and tell them how, you know, if you don't have it, what you do have instead of that. And some people have never even stayed in a vacation rental before, or if they have certain expectations. I had a very good friend who rented a home on the Cape a couple of years ago, and she called me in a panic. She said, I arrived and there are no linens and towels here. She said, the last home I rented, they did provide them, so I just assumed they all came with them. So it's really important to communicate this to potential renters. How many of you call or text your tenants within 24 hours of their arrival? Good for you. That's really important to do. So many times we get a negative guest review and the tenant says something about something that was missing or something that was amiss, and the homeowner gets back to us and says, but, I left my phone number in plain sight, or why didn't they call me? Well, don't expect that they will. Sometimes they just don't want to bother you, and they go all week without finding something that you had right there. So it is really important to check in with them. It also shows that you care. Ask them, how are you finding everything? Can I help you in any way? Is everything working? And inevitably, they'll have some questions that they perhaps didn't want to call you and bother you about. Go above and beyond. Make sure that you stock your home well with soaps, cleaning products, paper products. There was a case recently of a guest review. The tenant said, I asked my homeowner, I said I wanted to do some baking, and I couldn't find any baking pans. The next day, there was an Amazon box at their door with baking pans in it. And I mean, that is true, homeowner attention to detail and to helping their vacationer have a good time. And that's opposed to the tenant who said in a note to the owner in a recent review, please consider having some toilet paper in the bathrooms for us needy folks upon arrival. It's just,
I feel like these people are renting a house. They're not in a hotel room.
Mhm.
I leave at the beginning of the summer, and I'm not there every week. I always have a load of Costco toilet paper in the lock closet and, paper towels, and I tell the cleaner to give them one. But I don't want them to be supplying themselves. If they run out of those, then they should go buy. And I tell them, don't leave, if you can use the ketchup, the mustard, whatever. If you, dishwashing soap, if you use the last of it, replace it.
Yeah.
Because.
Well, you walk a fine line there. I agree, you don't want people to, just use everything and then leave. But on the other hand, it's short money, when we are charging a lot of money for our homes, and you don't want people to run out and,
I've never heard any issues about
yeah.
it.
Well, I think you probably supply your home very well. Pam, you recently got a guest review from someone who was there the entire week during Hurricane Jose, and yet they said they gave you a 5-star review. And they said they had a wonderful time, and they said part of it was because the home was so well stocked, they just enjoyed being there. And they said you were the most gracious host we've ever rented from. Well, there could be some people who rented during Hurricane Jose who did not have a good time because the house wasn't, the homeowner wasn't as accommodating and gracious. Ah, well, there you go. I'm not surprised.
What are the chances of another hurricane?
Yeah, right. Yes, question.
I'm sorry, we were talking a lot about the reviews, so
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, we have had a couple of rentals that haven't come from you because they rented through word of mouth from someone we know. And is there a way to get their review onto your site?
There are several ways, and I can help you with that. You can put it in yourself as a homeowner entered review, but it would say that, and you wouldn't have the stars. Or you could copy it into, we have a request form. How many of you have used the request form before? And don't be shy about using that and asking them. You put in their email address, you write a little note, and it goes right to them, and there's a button they push that says, write a review. But you could copy the text of their review that they put somewhere else and put it into your message to them, and all they have to do is copy and paste. And it makes it very easy. They could probably do it in 30 seconds. So.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
I have such a long list for my cleaners of, leave toilet paper in each
Yep.
bathroom, leave paper towel. I
Yep.
have like this huge thing in the owner's closet. And I cleaners and I'm not there to leave the gift?
Uh-huh.
Is that what everyone does?
Well,
Put an envelope in the closet and she knows, and
Yeah.
I put a little date on it,
Yeah.
so she knows which date to give them the gifts.
I have, you know, wine and sometimes it's coffee, sometimes it's jam, and a note on each one, and my cleaner just takes it and puts it out. I don't think they mind.
Cleaner's very, very busy, but
Yeah,
Well,
Roselle?
what you can do, I set up plastic storage boxes in my basement, and at the beginning of the year, I'm not there, but at the beginning of the year, I set up all my wine bottles, put gift tags on them, put them in the box. When I meet with the cleaning crew at the start of the year, I label it, one bottle for a guest, my gift soaps are set up, K-cups for the coffee maker, and if I walk the cleaners through and tell them one of each every new
Yep.
guest, they'll do it, they won't
Yep.
have a problem. Just
Yeah.
label it and leave it where they can find it. They'll do it.
The other thing is expect normal wear and tear. Rugs get they get spots on them. Screens get torn. You have to expect that, and just be careful in withholding money from a guest review. I mean, from a security deposit. Sometimes what started out as a very cordial relationship quickly sours when a vacationer finds out that you're accusing them of something that they're denying they did, or withholding $50 for something, or I mean, you're entitled to do it, but just be aware that it may result in ill feelings, a negative review, and you've lost them as returning tenants. I had a tenant who broke a lamp this summer in our living room, and she called right away. She was mortified, and I chose not to charge her. She's coming back. She's been there before, and she just felt really badly about it. Lauren, on the other hand, had tenants who the owners admitted that their young son had used the towel bar in the bathroom to do chin-ups. He thought he was this strong man, and it tore out of the wall. Well, she was justified because that was really misuse of something. So, be careful in doing that. Preventing a negative review, the three most common causes of a negative review are lack of cleanliness, dampness and mildew, and bugs. This summer in particular was a bad summer for, I don't know why, it wasn't particularly wet, I don't think, but bugs it was a big complaint. So spring clean, dehumidifier, exterminate professionally or get a defogger. Bugs are around, but there are things you can do to mitigate it. And if you do have problems and you've hired somebody who, to do it professionally, you can tell the tenant if they do complain.
I find mice can be a problem too in houses in the Cape that are big.
What? Oh, mice, yes, that's a, yep.
I found the little plug-in, what do you call it?
That's,
When you're not there. They're unbelievable.
For mice, yes. Yep.
Because inevitably every summer when I come back or spring, you'd see little, evidence of a little bit of mice in it.
Yep.
And that like freaked me out.
Yep.
I'm never gonna get rid of them totally, but I've also
But
found
those things
that
work great.
they help,
The-
but also the stinkiest, cheesiest fabric softener sheets. If you put them in drawers and under cushions and in cabinets where you see mice, that kind of deters them a little bit too. Nothing is gonna be 100%. Like, people can't call me and complain about ladybugs in the house or something.
Yep, yep. The other, yes.
We've had terrible problems with mice over the years.
Uh-huh.
And Samson's gotten a service that comes in 4 times a year, and they're not interested in
Yeah,
those.
yeah. Exterminators for mice are, that would be an important thing to do if you are prone, your house is prone. Steve?
We live in the middle of the woods.
Well,
Here
that's just,
and on the vineyard. The vineyard is notorious for mold and mildew.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, the house is filthy an hour after it's clean. Because it's
Yep.
literally, and it's very, very hard to control.
Yep.
Insects getting in,
Yep.
Frank, we haven't had a big problem with, but
Yep.
it's, I don't know what to do unless you medically seal the house.
Yeah,
So
well,
How
you can just do so much. I mean, and people have to understand that. That's why, you know, the people who sometimes, the vacationers who sometimes complain the most are those who are not familiar with the Cape. You know, they don't know that there are bugs and that, you know, that there's dampness. They have to expect that. Just moving on quickly, be sure to return your security deposit promptly. So many vacationers call, they're worried, you know, it's been over a month, I thought I'd get it back, and again, it creates ill will. Try to get it back as soon as you can, as soon as you know that they left the house in good condition. Lastly, the lodging tax. I know that some of you are very concerned about that. So are we. We have been fighting this since 2006. I have emails dating back that far. And for those of you who aren't aware of exactly what it is, if you were to stay in a hotel or motel or a large bed and breakfast on the Cape or the islands right now, you would pay a 11.7% lodging tax. The legislators are lobbying, have submitted bills. They've done it almost every year since 2006 to extend that lodging tax to vacation home rentals. And prior to just 2 years ago, there has not been the political will. The legislators who are, you know, cover the Boston area, who represent the people in the urban areas, they haven't had the interest until the last couple of years when Airbnb has the units in the Boston and other urban areas have sprung up. I'm sure you've all heard about the various cities around the world even where, you know, it's been very controversial. And therefore, the legislators now are very interested in extending this tax. And we would be lumped into this tax along with the Airbnb units. Governor Baker in 2016 said that he would veto a bill because the legislators then had proposed a bill for the extension of the tax. And he said he did not believe in taxing the Cape and Islands. He came right out and said that. He was in favor of the units, Airbnb units in the Boston area. They are competing with hotels, and they do take away from the permanent inventory for long-term housing. So we've been to the State House many times. We've been to every public hearing in the last year. We had Senator Julian Sear come to the Cape, and we asked him to come and meet with us, which a number of our homeowners came to express their concerns. And, you know, everything that we have been told is indicating that this tax is going to be passed. Now the devil is in the details. We don't know. We have asked for some mitigating factors to be considered, such as phase it in. Don't go from 0% tax to 11.7 just overnight. That was one suggestion. Another is to exempt people who move out of their home and move elsewhere in order to support themselves and rent out their home. Another is to what was the third one?
Exempt days.
Oh, the number of days. Again, Charlie Baker had said 150 days or more. If you rent your home more than 150 days a year, then you would have your tenants would pay the tax. And we would love that because most of us don't rent for more than 150 days a year. But the legislators, again, are saying no. It's if you rent for a week, 2 weeks out of the summer, you've got to, your tenants would have to pay this tax. And just to explain, what would probably happen is that you would collect it and then and remit the 11.7% to the state, maybe on a yearly basis, maybe quarterly. We don't know, and then they in turn would return up to 6% of it to the town where your home is. And many of the towns have already said, yes, we want the 6%. If this tax goes through, it's going. We want our share of it. And to add to it, Sarah Peak, a representative from Provincetown, and Julian Sear have both suggested measures to add an additional 2.75% as wastewater tax because of the wastewater problem, the added nitrogen, because we're all on septics and not sewers. And it is a big problem, but how to solve it is the question of the day. And, we don't think asking our vacationers to pay another 2.75%, that's getting close to 15%. And it's something that we really have been working very hard to mitigate, and it is probably going to come within the next year or two. But I just heard from Senator Sear last week. I told him we were meeting with several hundred of our homeowners. They're very concerned about it. I know you've been writing letters all along, which we really appreciate. And he wrote back, and this was somewhat optimistic. He said, "We're in a period of hurry up and wait. The legislature is in session until Thanksgiving. I was hopeful that the House would take up the legislation this fall, although as the calendar ticks, that's less and less certain. Increasingly, I have a hunch that this will be taken up in the fiscal year 19 budget, but that's just an educated guess. So it may not happen until 2019. The other thing that I made a point of expressing to him and everyone else who will listen is not to make it retroactive. And I've been told that it would not be retroactive. In other words, if you execute a lease today for a tenant who comes in August, and then the tax goes into effect July 1st, you can't go back to a tenant who's paid and say, you owe me more money now. So don't worry about that part of it.
You're going to make a lot of us liars.
Well, that's the other thing, is the management of it. How are these towns going to manage it? They can see that you, if they want, they can see that you advertise on our site, but they can look at the calendar. They can't tell which weeks you've rented, which weeks you've reserved for your family, which weeks were never available. So, it's going to be on the honor system. Yes?
I have put on the last 2 years on my contracts, if this legislation goes through, we will have to add that on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just because I don't know when it will happen.
Yeah. Well, but if you're signing
to make them aware that that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll write letters or.
Yeah.
Do
Mm-hmm.
something about it.
Yeah.
Joan,
Yes.
we have a place in New Hampshire, and they do monitor that on our calendars that we use, and they will see that we have rent for these weeks, and they see how much we charge for those weeks, and then they submit it.
How do they know it's not your sister staying there for those weeks and you've blocked it out as unavailable?
Yeah.
But I'm not collecting money from my sister, so why should I collect tax from her?
I guess you could argue it.
I thought there wasn't a lodging tax in New Hampshire.
We're getting letters now from our calendar.
So there is a lodging tax in?
There is.
What percent?
I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
I don't follow that.
Yeah.
There is no way to mark your calendar commercial use or if it's rented, so, I mean, how can they? Like, I mean, when I wanna
Yeah.
keep so many weeks for myself, I just check it, it's gone.
Yeah, I really think it would be very difficult for them to make that determination. I think that they would rely on you as the homeowner, but then realtors will have to do it. And Airbnb will have already said they're in favor of the tax because they want to ingratiate themselves with the cities. You know, they don't want, you know, they want to play, you know, play nice. Pam?
Just so I understand, this 11.7%.
Yes. It would be statewide, yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And other states are doing it, not as high as 11.7, but, you know, the legislators are saying, well, all the other states are doing it, but which they're not. I don't think there is one in Connecticut, and, you know, certainly in Florida there is, but, you know, we have to look at New England, not Florida.
I think the online places, the HomeAway and the Flip Key, will be capturing it and sending it in for you.
Yes.
So, you know, that
Mhm.
will.
Yep. Yeah, but we won't.
Well, yeah, because they're automatic
Yes.
billings,
Mhm.
and so that's.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, vacationers who go to some of those other sites are really not going to be happy if they have to pay the vacationer fee of between 4 and 12%, and then a tax on top of that. Oh my gosh! Wow! Wow! So we will certainly keep you posted. It's something that has taken up a great deal of our time, but we feel that it was necessary, and we feel we need to represent our homeowners, and we really care about this and are concerned about it.